everyone! Today I'm gonna do my October wrap-up. So I have to say I am currently a little bit frustrated with my reading. The month was okay. I read 5 full books and, I really enjoyed everything that I read. It's just that I want to read so much more and there's just things mostly from the outside stopping me from doing so, and it's frustrating me. Like, if you've seen my September wrap-up, there was just a lot of stuff going on, and there's been a lot of stuff going on for the last couple of months, and I think there's still a lot of things that I'm still processing, even if it's subconsciously. And then on top of that, I have a lot of anxiety because the beginning of next year my life is gonna change quite a lot because I'm done with school. And so I think there's from two sides, there's just a lot of stuff coming at me and a lot of things that keep my brain kind of occupied, even if it's not me consciously thinking about things. And so I feel a little bit restless all the time, and yeah, it's just hard for me to read in those times. And then on top of that, I think I was basically sick for the first 3 weeks of October, and I don't like it because I want to read more. When I'm sometimes I'm in a mood where I'm I don't care about reading. I don't want to read anything. I'm gonna play video games and I'm gonna watch YouTube and I don't give a shit about anything. But especially in October, I wanted to read so much and it just did not happen the way I wanted it to. Yeah, I just wanted to get that out there, not because I want to justify myself, just because I am genuinely, this is genuinely weighing on me in a way where it just frustrates me, okay? So I really just wanted to talk about it, and I'm just gonna get started with what I read in October. So first in October, I read Wildcard by MacLeod. This is the sequel to Warcross and the final book in this duology, and this was such an interesting reading experience for me. I really enjoyed this. I still really loved the characters. I was super emotionally invested still, but oh my god, it was such a mess. First off, why didn't it just concentrate on the issues that were, raised in Warcross? Warcross ended on such an intense cliffhanger with such an intense thing in this world, and I felt like Wildcard just kind of brushed over that and brought up more and bigger things, and there was just not enough space to really solve these issues. I didn't really get it because, the problem that we had at the end of Warcross would have been enough to fill this book with a conflict. So I was just why are we... And it wasn't it wasn't one new thing was brought up, thousands of new things were brought up. And I was just this is too much. This book cannot handle it. Second of all, the consequences at the end of the book, I don't think it was enough. As I said, I really like the characters and I want the characters to have a good life, but I also want characters to face actual consequences. MacLeod tried, but this was, in my personal, I don't want to shit on YA. I obviously read 85% YA, so don't get me wrong, but it was a very YA kind of ending. It couldn't quite go there, and it couldn't quite go for all of the consequences, and I just did not really feel satisfied with that. In general, I just think that because there were so many new conflicts, we didn't really have much time to develop the characters or the relationships between them, which I found maybe the most disappointing, because I love the characters so much and because I think there was so much, there should have been so much space for them to develop their relationships and to develop as characters, and they didn't. And I just found that to be really frustrating. Warcross, while the concept was super interesting, I think for me the characters carried that story, and the characters should have carried Wildcard, but instead it felt more like the characters were crushed by the weight of the conflicts in this book, and that just really did not satisfy me. But as I said, I don't know if that even makes sense. I don't think I've ever had such a conflicting kind of opinion where I have so many negative things to say, but at the same time still really enjoyed it. So I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, even though I know that sounds kind of strange considering what I just mentioned about this, but I enjoyed it. I just think it could have been much better, and so yeah. Next, I finished What If It's Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. I thought this was very adorable, cute, and funny. There were genuinely a lot of laugh out loud moments in there. Other than that, I think it was just fine. First of all, this was entirely too long. Like, way too long for a YA contemporary. Like, I get it, there were a lot of things in there, but I think it really dragged, and it definitely could have been like at least 30 pages shorter. I definitely think it had some really amazing rep in there. I think there were so many interesting characters in here, and also so many interesting relationships, that for me, the romantic relationship between the two main characters fell completely flat almost. There were just so many other interesting relationships that I just really wanted to know more about, that I just kind of felt like I didn't really care about the romantic developments between the two main characters. I feel like a lot of people are saying like, I didn't really see the chemistry. I did see the chemistry, I just wasn't really involved in their relationship, and it definitely had its cringy moments. I liked them because I thought a lot of the cringy moments were like super relatable, but it definitely sometimes made it very hard to read. I felt very conflicted about this novel, but then at the same time, I was just really happy with how everything was handled. I, as I said, thought there was some really amazing rep in here. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I rounded up on Goodreads because I just felt like this book deserved it, but it's just one of those books that I read and like, I will forget about it. Like, ask me again about this next week, I would not know what to tell you about it. Next, I listened to the audiobook of Sadie by Courtney Summers. This is so good. Like, everything people have said about this audiobook is so true. I think this works perfectly as an audiobook and is genuinely one of the best audiobooks I have ever listened to. Because this is like half a podcast, it's just so amazing to actually listen to that podcast, especially as that has a full cast. And I really enjoyed it. I thought the concept was super intriguing and just so timely, because these kinds of podcasts about true crime are just such a thing right now. I really like this. I love the concept. I think it definitely makes you think, and I would highly recommend that if you read this book, that you listen to the audiobook if you are in any way capable of listening to audiobooks. It's so worth it. I gave Sadie 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read The Bank Chronicles by Cassandra Clare, Maureen Johnson, and Sarah Reese Brennan. I buddy read this with my friend Melanie from Mel to the Annie. I'm gonna leave a link to her blog in the description. She has been reading The Mortal Instruments and The Infernal Devices, everything Shadowhunter related, for the past couple of months, and she has been sending me updates because I was begging her for it, and it's been so fun to follow her on her journey, and especially to see her fall in love with this series. And so when she started, or shortly before she started reading The Bank Chronicles, I was like, please send me updates. I mean, I haven't read it, but I still want to know what you think about it. And she was like, girl, what the fuck, you haven't read The Bank Chronicles? Let's buddy read it. And so I, on a whim, requested it on my Overdrive, and they bought it for me. And so that was like a day. I think she had read 1 chapter by that point. And I was like, oh my God, I just got The Bank Chronicles. And then we read it together, and it was such a fun experience. And I am so mad that people keep shitting on this book, because it is really not that bad. The stories in it aren't bad at all. Like, there's 1 or 2 ones that are maybe not so good, but then there's also 1 or 2 ones that are really fucking fantastic and 100% worth reading this whole thing for. And everything else is just kind of in the middle. But overall, I had such a good time reading this book, and I'm so mad that people shit on this so much, because I would never have read it if it wasn't for Melanie. I would not have picked this. Like, I was done with it. I ignored it. I like kind of forgot it even existed, because people kept saying it's not good, and I was kind of over the point where you would kind of read it in the Shadowhunter timeline, and so I didn't consider reading it at all anymore. But it was so great. I had such a fun time, and obviously buddy reading it made it even better. But I'm genuinely like a little bit mad, because I'm like, can people just stop shitting on it? I think there's way worse and less enjoyable, really draggy books in the Shadowhunter Chronicles. Like, yeah, I really don't understand why people shit on this as much as they do. And honestly, if you've been like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to read it, like, honestly, it's worth it. It's just so much fun. And I gave The Bank Chronicles 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read the first issue in the Steel Prince comic series by V. Schwab and Andrea Olimpieri, Enrica Angiolini, with Rob Steen. I don't even know who any, like, I guess one of them like draws the stuff and the other one's like coloring the stuff. I told you all the names. I mean, this is like obviously super short because it's just the first issue, but I thought that this just showed a whole lot of potential and I just really enjoyed this, and like this was just the beginning and I don't really have a lot to say about it. I just know that this has me super pumped for the other issues, although I'm not gonna get the other issues in physical copies because shipping this cost £8. But yeah, I really enjoyed it and I just cannot wait to read more. I'm gonna read the other ones as ebooks and then wait for the actual volume to come out next year. But yeah, I really like this. I really love the art and just cannot wait to see more, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And finally this month I read This Is What It Feels Like by Rebecca Barrow. This is a YA contemporary that comes out on Tuesday and I just posted a review for this on Friday, so definitely check that out for my in-depth thoughts. I'm really mad that this is coming out in November because the cover screams summer contemporary and the whole book takes place over the summer. I don't get it. And I genuinely think that this will be overlooked by people because it's just coming out at the wrong time. I think this should have been released in spring or early summer, and I'm honestly kind of mad about it because I'm like, why? This is like the perfect summer contemporary. I just do not get it. I haven't even said anything about it, but I really liked it. Obviously, otherwise I think I wouldn't be mad about it not getting the attention it deserves. This had so many things packed in here, and you should definitely check out my review if you're interested in this book. It deals with so many things. At the center of it are 3 girls and they all have a POV, and they were in a band together, but then because of a lot of things happening, the band kind of split up and the friendship definitely took a toll as well. It's kind of them finding their way back together through playing music together again. And I love that, you know, as someone who was in a band with friends for many, many years, I related to so many things in here, to the way they talked about making music and how music brought them together and reunited them. But then on top of that, it deals with alcohol abuse and actually like addiction and going to rehab. One of the main characters has a daughter, so it does deal with like being a teen mom. There's people of color. One of the main characters is a lesbian. There's a whole bunch of grief in there. It's just, there's so many things in there, and I thought all of them were dealt with so very well. And I had a really good time reading this. Like, even though there are so many kind of almost dark topics in this book and so many like really deep issues, I didn't really feel like this book kind of weighs you down. I still think that there is a good balance between like positive stuff, and I really, really love this. I don't think I've ever seen a contemporary that deals with so many topics, deal with all of these topics so very well, especially like alcohol addiction in teens. I'm just so happy with everything this book did. I want everybody to read this because I thought it was so fantastic, and I just want much more YA contemporaries to go there. I really had a good time reading it, and I'm just really so amazed by how many topics this tackled, and I really highly recommend it. If you're not in the mood for this right now, please just put it on your must read for spring or summer 2019. It's so worth it, and I want so many people to read it. It's just so fantastic. I gave This Is What It Feels Like 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely wish I could have given it 5 stars, but it didn't quite get there emotionally for me. This is everything that I read in October. Let me know what you read, anything super spooky, any new favorites that you found this month. I definitely know that I am done with YA contemporaries for the rest of the year. If there's one that I'm like really in the mood for, I will probably go for it. But I'm glad I'm done with my contemporary arcs. I feel like they almost put me in a reading slump, even though they were great, but it's just not the time for me for contemporaries, okay? Anyway, I make new videos on Wednesday and Sunday with occasional reviews on Friday, so click subscribe to never miss anything and hit the little bell so you get notified as well. And thank you so much for watching. I guess I'll see you soon. Bye!